This is Hannibal and Piper back here from the HannibalTV.com with a quick update for you. I've had a lot of feedback on this Abdullah the Butcher Dark Side of the Ring that they chose not to go by the evidence and go with more of a biased storytelling reporting in this, but I've had about 80% positive feedback and then 20% haters on this, maybe 15. Many people seem to think Abdullah the Butcher never had Hep C. There's his blood work right there. He had a history of Hep C. And one of the reasons we won this case is because I was tested shortly before I wrestled him and didn't have Hep C. And we had the same genotype. So the guy with a long history of it, who's had double blood matches his whole career, and then there's the guy that has hardly had any double blood matches in his life. I've had single blood matches, but the point is I was tested shortly before, did not have Hep C. He did. And again, this went to court in Canada for over a week. It actually went to court in Canada for over a week. But let's look at the U.S. court documents here. Which, by the way, he was served by a process server. When you go to court, you're actually served. You don't just receive letters in the mail. If you look at the second paragraph of the first page, he says the Canadian court held, this is the judgment, the second judgment in the U.S., which, by the way, he appealed both the Canadian and U.S. judgments and lost. The Canadian court hearings without a jury on March 31st, April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and June 3rd, 2014. So on all those days, they heard evidence regarding this, including medical evidence. Although Shreve had entered an appearance through counsel and filed an answer in the Canadian proceedings, neither Shreve nor his counsel appeared at the hearings. That was his choice. The plaintiff obtained judgment against Shreve, which was entered on June 16th, 2014. So, that is confirmation that at one point he was actually fighting that, but obviously his counsel dropped him. Let's go to the third page of the U.S. judgment now, where actually Shreve appeared in court on the U.S. judgment. He actually was in court, which he denies. Shreve argues the Canadian forum was inconvenient because he's 73 years old and infirm. Shreve concedes that he had a Canadian counsel, but his counsel withdrew in June 2013. Shreve claims that it was impracticable for him to retain new counsel due to the expense involved and to provide testimony as a witness given the distance between Georgia and Canada. Keep in mind he attended the mediation in Canada. Still 10 years later, he travels for autograph appearances all the time. We go to the next paragraph. The judge finds that Shreve has failed to carry his burden of factuality demonstrating that the Canadian forum was seriously inconvenient for trial. Shreve has tendered no evidence to support his contention that he was physically unable to attend trial in Canada. While he attaches to his brief a document that purports to be a letter from his physician, that letter is unauthenticated. In other words, he likely attached a fake physician's document. Shreve tendered no affidavit or other evidence to his physical condition or ailments. Further, Shreve has tendered no evidence demonstrating that he was unable to retain additional counsel in Canada or present evidence in that tribunal in a manner that may not have required him to travel to Canada, such as video. They do trials in video all the time. Finally, at the hearing, Shreve conceded that the events giving rise to the judgment took place in Canada. Yes, they took place in Canada for people that claim they took place in Puerto Rico. So it's ordered that this is the final judgment, and it's approved. They endorsed the judgment from Canada. Okay, these are all facts. Here's some pictures of me wrestling Puerto Rico, IWA Puerto Rico, Intercontinental Champion, WWC Puerto Rico, Tag Team Champion. I lost a contract over it. I had to go through 2 horrible Hep C treatments. The second one, which cost me $80,000. The court costs up to this point are near $200,000. This guy hasn't even attempted to pay shit. He sold off properties and fraudulently transferred properties to avoid paying. He's a total scumbag. So, Mike, wrestling is wrestling. I mean, you don't expect to be cut with an unsanitary razor blade. He told me he wasn't going to cut me. I was already bleeding in the match where he cut me. By the way, his caregiver is his mistress. He's still married. His wife's in the process of trying to get a divorce from him. He does get Canada pension plan. And his wife, even though he lives with his mistress, who the last I heard actually worked in some type of flower shop from the documentation I give. I don't know what her supposed qualifications are for being a caregiver. I guess it just sounds good. But there you go. That is the facts. He had Hep C. I won in court. It doesn't matter whether everyone believes it or not, but for the people that are on the fence, those are the documents. He actually was kicked out of school when he was 16. So that's grade 11 or 12. He's on record saying that. The unable to read crap is new stuff that he only put out in recent years. We received handwritten letters from him during the trial, such as this one. So anyone that wants to take his side is either extremely gullible, has something against me. That's just the fact of the matter. It went to court for over a week in Canada and for several days in the U.S. And based on evidence, they took my side. And for the people that want to, again, say that I never would have made it in WWE, well, the point is I got 365,000 YouTube subscribers, never been in a major company other than matches here and there. So the fact of the matter is they liked me at the time. They offered me a contract. I never got the chance. So you never know how good or bad someone would do. They took that chance away from me. I also lost my regular job. When it went public, I had Hep C because at the time I was working with developmentally delayed adults that had violent tendencies. And when they found out I had Hep C, I lost that job too. So it led me down to some very dark times. But I've overcome them. Yes, he had more of a... There was always a rep... In fact, he stated to me that the reputation of cutting other people was false. And keep in mind, in the years I was wrestling him was before YouTube really took off. The cutting incident took place in 2007. People didn't even have video on their phones back then. Text messaging was really only starting in 2000. I mean, I remember it around 2005. I can't remember when photo text messaging started. But I mean, those are just the facts. So people that want to hate can hate. And if I want to dislike Abdullah for not only what he put me through, but my family through, because keep in mind, my whole family and my ex-wife had to go through the treatments with me, and the highs and the lows. And the second treatment I went through, Insivec triple therapy, was never even approved for regular use. It was never even put officially on the market, even though it worked due to all the side effects that it went through. And for the pieces of shit that like to say there's no cure for Hep C, there's a 3-month cure involving 1 pill a day now. Like 10 or 11, 12 years since I did my treatment. Modern medicine advances, and the people that want to portray that there's no cure for Hep C are just scumbags, because the people out there that still have it deserve to be treated with respect and know that there's hope to get cured. It's a potentially deadly disease. It's not a joke. It sure caused me a lot on my life. And yeah, I don't like him. He hasn't even attempted to pay anything. I mean, I've been involved in lawsuits, and he's just a complete scumbag. Out of every lawsuit I've done, and I'm undefeated in civil lawsuits, I've never dealt with anybody like this that hasn't even made an attempt to pay a single penny. So that's all I'm going to say. And the people that want to claim he doesn't have Hep C, his medical records are right there. You're as big a scumbag as he is. You want to stand up for a guy wrestling knowing he had Hep C for years, you're truly as big a scumbag as he is.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of